Zara moved through the dense forest silently, her four eyes scanning the environment for any sign of movement. Her blue skin blended with the shadows as she stalked her prey. The Galactic Hunter Guild had sent her to this backwater planet with simple instructions: capture a specimen from a newly discovered species. This was supposed to be an easy mission. Zara had hunted creatures across 12 star systems and never failed. The primitive beings on this planet called Earth would be no challenge for someone with her skills and technology. She adjusted the plasma pistol strapped to her thigh and checked the capture net folded neatly in her lower right hand. Her other hands remained free, ready to respond to any threat. The tracking device on her wrist pulsed softly, indicating her target was nearby. Zara slowed her breathing and readied her capture net. The device had been programmed with the biological signature of the species, but something felt wrong. Her instincts sensed danger, something the guild briefing had not prepared her for. Through the trees, Zara spotted her target and froze. A female creature stood by a stream washing fabric in the water. The being had no scales, no extra limbs, only pale skin and brown fur on top of its head. It looked so fragile, so vulnerable, nothing like the dangerous predators Zara usually hunted. Zara checked her device again. This was definitely her target. But how could such a weak-looking creature be dangerous? The guild reports had been vague, mentioning only that this species had potential and needed study. They had classified the mission as high priority, despite describing the inhabitants as primitive. Moving closer, Zara observed the human female. The creature called itself human according to the limited data available. Zara had expected something more impressive, more threatening. This small being wore simple coverings and seemed completely unaware of her surroundings. A perfect target. The human finished her task and began walking along a path through the forest. Zara followed, staying hidden among the trees. She would wait for the perfect moment to strike. The capture would be quick and painless. The guild wanted undamaged specimens. They were always very clear about that requirement. As the human walked, she began making sounds. Zara realized the creature was producing music with its voice. The melody was unlike anything Zara had ever heard, beautiful and haunting. It stirred something inside her, a feeling she could not explain. Zara shook her head, clearing such distracting thoughts. Focus was essential to a successful hunt. Suddenly the human stopped and turned, looking directly at the spot where Zara hid. Impossible. No species had ever detected Zara during a hunt. Her cloaking technology was the best in the galaxy. The stealth suit cost more than most hunters earned in 5 cycles. Yet the human was staring right at her hidden form with an expression of curiosity, not fear. Mary knew someone was watching her. She felt it with the same certainty she knew her own name. Growing up alone in these woods had taught her to trust her instincts. The strange shimmer between the trees was familiar somehow, like a half-forgotten dream. Mary called out, "Hello, is someone there?" Her voice was calm despite the strangeness of the situation. For years she had felt watched in these woods. Many thought her strange for living alone so far from town, but this forest was the last place she had seen her parents, the last place she had felt truly safe. Zara remained perfectly still. Her translator converted the human sounds to meaning, but she gave no response. How could this primitive being sense her presence? The reports had mentioned nothing about enhanced perception. Perhaps it was just luck, the human looking in her direction by chance. Yet the creature's eyes seemed to track her movements even as Zara shifted position slightly. The human took a step toward Zara's hiding place. "I know you're out there. I won't hurt you." The words made Zara almost laugh. A prey promising not to hurt the hunter. Such a concept was ridiculous. Something in the human's voice caused Zara to hesitate. This was not how prey was supposed to act. The creature should be running, fleeing in terror, not approaching danger. The guild briefing had described humans as cautious creatures who avoided the unknown. Yet this one moved toward a potential threat with confidence. Mary moved closer to the strange shimmer between the trees. She had seen something like it once before when she was a child. The day her parents disappeared. The day everything changed. She had been only 8 years old playing near this very stream, when the air had shimmered and rippled. Her parents had told her to run to hide, but curiosity had made her stay watching from behind a fallen tree, as strange beings appeared and spoke with her mother and father. Their voices had been odd, musical almost, and though she couldn't understand the words, her parents had nodded, seeming to agree to something. Then all three had vanished, leaving Mary alone for 15 years. Mary had returned to this forest, waiting for their return. The authorities had searched, but found nothing. No bodies, no evidence, just an abandoned cabin and a little girl with an impossible story. No one believed her tales of shimmering air and strange beings. They said her parents had abandoned her or met with an accident in the woods. Eventually, Mary stopped telling her story, but she never stopped believing, never stopped searching. Zara made a decision she would abort the mission. This being was not what she expected. The guild would need to send someone else or provide better information. Retreat was not something Zara was familiar with, but something about this human unsettled her. The way it moved with purpose toward danger, the way it seemed to see through her stealth technology. This was not normal prey behavior. As Zara turned to leave, her boot snapped. A twig. The sound echoed through the quiet forest. Zara cursed her carelessness. Such a basic mistake was beneath her reputation. The human moved with surprising speed, directly toward Zara. With no choice left, Zara deactivated her cloaking shield, revealing herself to the human. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her blue skin covered in luminescent patterns, her 4 arms ready for defense. She expected screams, expected terror. Her appearance had frightened even members of spacefaring species. But the human did not scream, did not run. Instead, Mary smiled. I knew it. I knew you were real. Her eyes showed no fear, only wonder and a strange relief, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Zara stepped back, confused. The translator must be malfunctioning. This prey was not showing fear. Her guild training had never prepared her for this reaction. She checked her weapons, making sure they were ready. If the human attacked, though the creature seemed to have no visible weapons. You look different from the others, Mary said, her eyes wide with wonder. Different from what I saw as a child, but you have the same shimmer, the same light under your skin. Others, Zara questioned. The guild reports had indicated this was first contact with the human species. No other hunters should have been here. No official contact had been made with the planet designated Earth. This was why the mission paid so well. Virgin territory was rare and valuable. Mary nodded. They came when I was small. They took my parents. I saw them before they disappeared. Their skin was more green than blue, and they had only 2 arms. But they appeared the same way, with that strange shimmer in the air. Zara felt cold, dread creeping through her body. The guild had lied to her. This was not first contact. Other hunters had been here before. But why would they take humans, and why had the guild hidden this information? Zara accessed her neural implant, searching for any record of previous missions to Earth, but, found nothing. This information had been deliberately concealed from her. I waited for them to come back. Mary continued. They promised they would return for me too once I was ready. Whatever that meant, I was too young then, but I knew what I saw. No one believed me. They said I made it up to cope with losing my parents, but I know what I saw. Promises. Hunters made no promises to prey. Something was very wrong here. Guild protocol was clear. Specimens were collected discreetly with no communication, no interaction. Only observation was permitted before capture. The guild was strict about contamination of primitive cultures. Mary reached out slowly toward Zara. Are you here to take me to them? Her fingers trembled slightly as she reached for Zara's lower arm. The human showed no disgust at Zara's alien appearance, no fear of her clearly superior strength and weapons. Only hope shone in her eyes. Zara recoiled from the human's touch. This mission violated every protocol she knew. The guild never separated family units, never took sentient beings against their will. This human showed intelligence, emotion, hope. These were not traits of simple specimens. These were the traits of a sentient species with rights protected by galactic law. For the first time in her career, Zara questioned her mission. The Guild had clearly lied about this being first contact. They had sent her to capture a being that was fully sentient and aware, and had previously been in contact with off-worlders. Zara had hunted many creatures but never intelligent beings. That was not hunting, that was kidnapping. Mary saw the confusion in the alien woman's strange eyes. Please, I need to find them. They're all I have. I need to know why they left me here alone. All these years. Her voice broke slightly, revealing years of pain and loneliness. Zara made a decision that would change everything. She spoke directly to the human using her translator. Your parents were taken by hunters like me, but I did not know I was sent. Here under false information. The Guild told me this was first contact with your species. Mary stepped back, her face showing the first signs of fear. What do you mean? Taken for what study experiments? The words came out in a rush. Mary shook her head. No, they said we were special, that humans had potential, that we would join them among the stars. She wrapped her arms around herself as if suddenly cold. My parents agreed to go with them. They said it was an opportunity, a chance, to help all of humanity. They promised to return for me when I was older. Zara accessed her Guild database searching for any mention of human potential. She found nothing, only collection orders and coordinates. The truth began to dawn on her. The Guild was hiding something about these humans, something important enough to lie to their own hunters, something that made humans valuable enough to break Guild protocols about contacting primitive species. I need to know more, Zara said. Tell me everything you remember about them. Her 4 eyes focused intently on Mary, studying her reactions. This human seemed honest, but Zara had been deceived once already. She would not make that mistake again. Mary sat down on a fallen log, her eyes distant, as she recalled memories she'd held close for 15 years. They came at night, 3 of them. They spoke to my parents in our language, though it sounded strange, like they were just learning it. They said humans had something special, something rare in the galaxy. They called it adaptability, creativity, imagination. They said these qualities were valuable, that humans could help solve problems their people had struggled with for centuries. Zara listened carefully. These were not the words of hunters to prey. These were the words of recruiters, or perhaps worse, slavers seeking specific traits. No Guild hunter would speak of value beyond simple biological study. The Guild presented itself as a scientific organization, collecting specimens for research and preservation. But what if that was a lie? What if the truth was darker, more complicated? Mary continued. They told my parents they would take them to their homeworld to study human potential, that they would be treated as honored guests, that their participation would help humanity join the galactic community sooner. Her voice grew harder. They said nothing about leaving their child alone. They made their choice. And I lived with the consequences as Mary spoke. Zara realized the terrible truth. The Guild was not what it claimed to be. It was not collecting specimens for simple study. It was harvesting potential allies or resources. Humans possessed something rare in the galaxy: adaptability, creativity, perhaps even untapped psychic abilities, the very qualities Zara had witnessed in this human who had sensed her through advanced cloaking technology, who had shown no fear when facing an alien predator. These were not the actions of prey, but of a dangerous equal. I have to warn my people. Zara thought the Guild is making a terrible mistake. Or worse, they know exactly what they're doing and have been lying to hunters like me all along, using us as their collection agents while hiding their true purpose. Humans are not what you think. Zara told Mary they are not specimens, not prey. They are something else, something the Guild fears or wants. Her lower hands clenched into fists. This mission, her entire career, suddenly seemed built on lies. She had always believed she served a higher purpose, preserving and studying life across the galaxy. But what if she had been nothing more than a poacher, collecting valuable resources for powerful interests? Mary leaned forward, her gaze intense. Then help me find my parents. Help me show your people that humans are more than they believe. Her determination was palpable, a force that seemed to fill the small clearing. If what you say is true, if your guild has been lying, then I need answers, and you need the truth. Help me, and I'll help you. Zara looked at the human, seeing her not as prey but as a possible ally. The guild would hunt them both now. Consider Zara a traitor for this revelation, for revealing their secrets to a specimen, for failing to complete her mission. She thought of her ship hidden in the mountains, of the technology she possessed, of her knowledge of guild operations. All could be valuable in discovering the truth. Perhaps that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Someone to expose the truth. Someone to show that humans were not to be hunted but to be feared and respected. Someone who could reveal whatever the guild was hiding. I will help you, Zara said, making her choice. I will help you find your parents, and together, we will show the guild what humans truly are. The words were treason against everything she had served, but they felt right. They felt true. Mary smiled. And in that smile, Zara saw something that terrified her more than any creature she had ever hunted. She saw hope, determination, and a fierce intelligence that made her understand why the guild had lied. Humans were not prey. They were predators. The most dangerous kind. The kind that looked harmless, until it was too late. We should go to my ship, Zara said. It has technology that can help us, records of guild activities, perhaps even information about your parents. She hesitated. My ship is several miles from here in the mountains. Can you travel that far? Mary stood up, brushing dirt from her clothes. I hike these woods every day I can. Make it. She went to the stream and picked up the basket of wet clothes she had been washing. We should stop at my cabin first. I need to get some things if we're going on a journey. Zara nodded, though the delay concerned her. The guild would know soon. That she had failed to return with a specimen would track her ship, would send others. Her time was limited, but alienating her only ally would be foolish. Mary knew these woods, knew this world. Zara would need that knowledge. They walked in silence. For a time, Mary leading the way along narrow forest paths that seemed random to Zara, but clearly followed some pattern known to the human. The trees grew thicker here, the forest older, with massive trunks that would take 4 of Zara's arms to encircle. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating patterns on the ground that shifted with the wind. Do all your people look like you? Mary asked, breaking the silence. 4 arms, blue skin, those patterns under your skin. Do you all hunt for this guild? No, Zara replied, grateful for the distraction from her troubled thoughts. I am Zanari from the planet Zanara. We are one of many species who work for the guild. My people are known for our hunting abilities, our stealth technology. She gestured to the suit she wore, which now appeared as simple dark clothing with her cloaking deactivated. The guild employs many species, each with different skills. Many serve as hunters, others as researchers, pilots, traders. The guild itself is controlled by the ancient races, those who first mastered star travel. Mary considered this. So aliens really are out there. Hundreds of different kinds living together, traveling between stars, just like in the movies. She shook her head with a small laugh. All those years people thought I was crazy for believing. And now here you are walking next to me talking about star travel and ancient races. The movies. Zara questioned, not understanding the reference. Mary waved her hand dismissively. Just stories humans tell, about what aliens might be like. Most of them got it very wrong. She looked at Zara with curiosity. How many worlds have you visited? How many different kinds of creatures have you hunted? Zara thought for a moment. 12 star systems, 47 planets, and their moons, hundreds of species. She rarely considered the scale of her experience. It was simply her life, her work. But seeing Mary's expression made her realize how strange it must seem to someone who had never left their homeworld. And you take them all back to your guild? Mary asked, her voice carefully neutral. Where do they go then? What happens to them? Zara hesitated. The guild told hunters their specimens were studied, preserved in habitat simulations, their biology and behavior recorded. for scientific purposes. But now she wondered if that was true. They had lied about humans about Earth. What else had they lied about? They are studied, Zara said finally. That is what I was told. But now I question everything. The guild has hidden much from its hunters. It seems a small cabin appeared ahead, nestled between ancient trees. Its walls were made of wood, its roof covered with some kind of local plant material, simple but sturdy. It stood alone in a small clearing with a garden of plants growing nearby and what appeared to be a small shelter for animals. This is my home, Mary said. It's not much, but it's mine. She walked up the 3 wooden steps to the door and pushed it open. Zara followed, ducking her head to enter the low doorway. Inside of the cabin was a single room with areas divided by furniture rather than walls. A bed stood in one corner, a cooking area in another. Books filled shelves along one wall, hundreds of them of different sizes and colors. Objects Zara could not identify hung from the ceiling, plants and dried herbs, metal tools, strange decorations. Mary moved efficiently, gathering items and placing them in a bag. Food water, a small metal tool Zara recognized as a primitive weapon, a device Mary called a phone, though she explained it would not work far from human settlements. How far is your ship? Mary asked as she packed in the mountains to the north. About 20 of your miles, Zara replied. I chose a landing site far from human settlements to avoid detection. The ship is small, designed for a single hunter. It has limited space but powerful systems for tracking and research. Mary nodded. I know those mountains. There are caves there, places people avoid because of old stories. Stories about lights in the sky and strange sounds. She looked at Zara with new understanding. Those weren't just stories, were they? Your people have been coming here for a long time. Zara had no answer. The guild had told her this was a new discovery, a primitive world, just added to the hunting territories. But if humans had stories about lights and sounds in those mountains, the deception ran deeper than she had imagined. The sun was beginning its descent when they reached the higher slopes of the mountain. Zara had hidden her ship in a narrow canyon between 2 peaks, a location chosen for its remoteness and the natural interference the mineral-rich rocks provided against scanning technology. The steep walls of the canyon rose on either side as they made their way along the narrow path. Mary had grown quieter as they climbed higher, her initial stream of questions tapering off as the journey demanded more. Of her energy, Zara was impressed by the human's endurance. She had expected to need to slow her pace considerably, but Mary had kept up, requiring only occasional rest. For a species with only 2 legs and apparently fragile construction, humans were surprisingly durable. We are close, Zara said as they rounded a bend in the canyon. The ship is just ahead, hidden beneath a projection shield. It will appear as bare rock until I deactivate the camouflage. Mary nodded, her breathing slightly labored from the climb, but her eyes alert, scanning the canyon walls. I still can't believe this is happening, she said. After 15 years of being called crazy, of doubting myself sometimes, I finally have proof. She looked at Zara. You have no idea what this means. Zara considered the human's words. What would it be like to live in isolation, disbelieved by your own kind, questioning your own experiences? She had always had the guild, her fellow hunters, a place and purpose. This human had survived alone, sustained only by her conviction that what she had seen was real. The canyon narrowed further, the path becoming treacherous with loose rocks and steep drops. Zara moved ahead, guiding Mary around the worst sections. The geological instability was one reason she had chosen this location. Few would venture here willingly. They turned a final corner and Zara stopped. This is it, she said, though to Mary's eyes, there would be nothing but bare rock and shadows. Zara raised her wrist device and entered a complex sequence of commands. The air shimmered and rippled, much like the effect of her personal cloaking technology, but on a larger scale. Mary gasped as the ship appeared seemingly out of nowhere. It was smaller than she had imagined, sleek and dark metallic, without windows or visible openings, predatory looking like its owner. It rested on 3 landing struts that dug into the rocky ground, the canyon walls close on either side providing additional concealment. Is that really a spaceship? Mary whispered, her voice filled with wonder. It's so small, how does it fly? How does it go between stars? Her questions tumbled out as she approached her earlier fatigue. Forgotten Zara watched the humans circle the ship with open curiosity. The hunter ships were common, to her unremarkable tools for a specific purpose, but seeing it through Mary's eyes she recognized how advanced it must appear to someone from a pre-spaceflight civilization. It is small, she confirmed, designed for a single hunter and perhaps one specimen. The guild prefers efficiency over there. She pointed to a section of the hull that appeared seamless. The entry hatch will open to my biometric signature. Zara placed her lower right hand against the hull. The metal warmed beneath her touch, recognizing her unique pattern of heat circulation, skin oils, and neural emissions. A seam appeared in the previously smooth surface, widening into an opening large enough for them to enter. Zara gestured for Mary to follow her into the ship. The interior was dimly lit with blue-green light that activated as they entered, revealing a space divided into 3 areas. The forward section contained the pilot's chair and navigation controls surrounded by display screens currently dark. The central area held equipment storage and systems access panels. The rear compartment was smaller, separated by a partial wall that could be sealed completely. That's where you keep them, Mary said quietly, looking at the rear compartment. The specimen Zara nodded. That is the containment area, she confirmed. It has life support systems for various physiologies, food dispensers, and sedative capabilities if necessary. She watched Mary's face carefully, seeing the humans' discomfort at the clinical description. It is designed to be comfortable, she added. The guild values undamaged specimens. Mary shivered visibly. That would have been me if things had gone according to plan. A specimen in your containment area. The truth of those words hung between them for a moment. Zara had no response. The human was right. If Zara had not discovered the guild's deception, if Mary had not revealed her history, Zara would have completed her mission without hesitation. We should access the ship systems, Zara said. Finally. We do not have much time. The guild will be monitoring for activity. She moved to the pilot's chair and activated the main console. The displays came to life, showing status reports, navigation data, and communication logs. Zara quickly entered her access, codes bringing the ship's full capabilities online. What are you looking for? Mary asked, moving closer to watch the strange symbols and images flowing across the screens. First, I need to check if the guild has flagged my mission status as delayed or compromised. Zara explained if they have, they may already be tracking the ship. Once its systems are active, they can locate it. Then, I need to access the specimen database to search for records of human collection, specifically from this region around the time your parents were taken. The displays showed no immediate alerts. The mission was still listed as active. Zara felt relief, but knew it was temporary. Soon, the guild would expect either a specimen transfer request or a mission failure report. When neither came, they would investigate. Zara began searching the specimen database, entering parameters for Earth human collection dates, 15 standard cycles past location matching the coordinates of Mary's home. The system processed the query. A warning appeared on screen. Access denied, protocol violation, detected, contact guild control for authorization. Zara hissed in frustration. That confirms it. They have classified human collection records. They don't want hunters to know. She tried another approach, searching instead for mission records to Earth over the past 20 cycles. Again, the system blocked. Her Mary leaned forward. What does that mean? She asked. Why would they hide that information? It means the guild is definitely concealing something about humans and Earth, Zara said. Something they don't want their own hunters to know. She tried several more search variations, all meeting the same security blocks. I need to try something else, she said finally. The guild maintains a separate communication system for high-priority directives. Those messages might contain information about their interest in humans. Zara accessed the secure communication channels using her hunter authorization codes. The system reluctantly granted her limited access. She began sorting through the encrypted messages looking for any mention of Earth or humans. Mary watched in silence, her expression intense as incomprehensible alien text scrolled past. There Zara pointed to a message thread dated approximately 14 cycles ago. The encryption was higher level than standard mission directives, but her ship had decryption capabilities for emergency situations. She activated the decryption process, watching as the alien characters slowly resolved into readable text. Project potential update. The message header read, "Specimens performing beyond expectations. Human adaptability confirmed. Genetic analysis shows compatibility with enhancement procedures. Phase 2 approved. Begin selective collection of additional specimens. Focus on isolated rural communities to minimize detection. Sample size increased to 50 pairs." Mary read the translated text, her face paling. "What does this mean?" she whispered. "Enhancement procedures. 50 pairs. Zara, they took 50 pairs of people. Not just my parents." Zara continued reading, her dread growing. Phase 2 operations require removal of all evidence. Subject offspring too young for collection should be memory wiped. Guild enforcers will ensure no credible witnesses remain. Collection teams maintain cover story of scientific opportunity for selected specimens. Maintain isolation protocols to prevent specimen communication with home planet. The memory wipe failed on you," Zara said, looking at Mary. "You remembered everything that was not supposed to happen." Mary touched her head as if feeling for evidence of tampering. "They tried to make me forget. They wanted me to think my parents just disappeared. But it didn't work." "Why didn't it work on me?" Zara had no answer. Human minds were clearly more resilient than the Guild had anticipated. Another reason they might be valuable. Another reason they might be dangerous. Further messages revealed more details. Project potential focused on human genetic compatibility with advanced bioengineering procedures. The Guild was not merely studying humans, they were modifying them, enhancing them, creating something new, something they controlled. "My parents," Mary said, her voice breaking. "What did they do to my parents?" Zara could not bring herself to translate the clinical descriptions of the procedures. The Guild had performed experimental genetic modifications on the human specimens, altering their neural pathways, enhancing their already unusual capacity for adaptation. Some had survived the process, becoming something new. Something the Guild called potentials. Neither fully human nor fully alien, they are alive. Zara said, finally focusing on that one truth amid the horror. "That much is clear. The successful specimens were transferred to a research facility. The location is encrypted, but I can find it." She worked quickly, breaking through several more layers of security. The coordinates appeared on screen. Facility 9, located on a moon, orbiting a gas giant 3 systems away. Zara set the ship's self-destruct sequence for 10 minutes, enough time for them to reach a safe distance, but not enough for the Guild enforcers to disable it. She shouldered the pack of equipment and gestured toward the hatch. "We need to move now. Stay close to me. The mountain terrain will help conceal us, but the enforcers will have tracking technology." Mary followed Zara out of the ship into the gathering darkness of the canyon. The sun had nearly set, casting long shadows that deepened the natural concealment of the rugged landscape. Zara activated her personal cloaking device, extending its field to cover Mary as well. The technology wasn't designed for two, but it would help mask their heat signatures and visual presence. They moved quickly away from the ship, heading deeper into the maze of narrow canyons and steep ridges. Zara chose their path carefully, avoiding open areas and using the mineral deposits in the rocks to disrupt tracking scanners. Mary kept pace, her earlier fatigue forgotten in the urgency of their escape, her human adaptability showing in how quickly she adjusted to their desperate situation. 5 minutes later, the ground shook beneath their feet as the ship's self-destruct activated. A flash of blue light illuminated the canyon briefly, followed by the sound of the explosion echoing off the mountain walls. The concussive force knocked loose rocks from the canyon edges, sending small avalanches of debris cascading down that should slow them down, Zara said, checking her portable scanner. The explosion will have damaged at least one of their ships, and the radiation signature will temporarily blind their instruments. But they will recover quickly. We need to keep moving. Where are we going, Mary? Asked as they continued their difficult journey through the darkness. The mountain terrain was treacherous enough in daylight. At night, it became a deadly obstacle course of hidden drops and unstable surfaces, away from population centers. Zara replied, "The Guild will expect us to seek help from other humans. They will focus their search on nearby settlements. But I have another plan. The Guild maintains automated relay stations on primitive worlds for hunters to use for communication and supply. These stations are small, unobtrusive, and rarely visited." She checked her scanner again. "There is one approximately 20 miles south of here. If we can reach it, I can use it to send a message." "A message to who?" Mary asked, carefully picking her way along a narrow ledge following Zara's path to the Coalition. Zara said the Guild is not the only power in the galaxy. There are others who oppose their methods, who have suspected for years that the Guild was violating treaties regarding primitive worlds. The Coalition has tried to gather evidence, but the Guild is careful. This, she gestured to the data core in her pack. This is the evidence they need. They traveled through the night, stopping only when the terrain became too dangerous to navigate. In darkness, Zara used her enhanced vision to guide them, but even she had limits. The mountain was unforgiving of mistakes. A single misstep could mean injury or death. Neither of them could afford either. As dawn broke, they found shelter in a small cave, its entrance nearly invisible behind a tumble of rocks. Zara checked her scanner. No signs of pursuit yet. The explosion had been more effective than she'd hoped, but she knew it was only a temporary advantage. The Guild would not give up, not when their secrets were at stake. Mary sat with her back against the cave wall, exhaustion finally catching up to her. She drank from her water bottle and ate some of the food she'd brought from her cabin. Her face was dirty, her clothes torn from their difficult journey, but her eyes remained clear and determined. "You should rest," Zara said. "We will move again at nightfall. It is safer to travel when the Enforcer's visual tracking is less effective." Mary nodded, too tired to argue. She stretched out on the hard cave floor, using her pack as a pillow, and was asleep almost instantly. Zara watched the human, wondering at her resilience. Where did such strength come from in a being that appeared so fragile? While Mary slept, Zara examined the data shed, stolen from her ship. The Guild files on Project Potential were extensive, dating back over 20 Earth years. The project had begun as simple observation. The Guild Scientific Division had noted unusual patterns in human development. The species had progressed from simple tool use to complex technologies in a fraction of the time it had taken other species. Their adaptability was remarkable, their creativity unusual, but it was the discovery of human genetic compatibility with Guild enhancement procedures that had escalated the project. The Guild had long practiced biological modification on non-sentient species, creating specialized creatures for various purposes. But attempts to enhance sentient species had failed repeatedly until humans. Their genetic structure, their neural pathways were uniquely suited to enhancement human potential. When directed, controlled, could serve Guild interests in ways no other species could. The files contained records of the experiments performed on the collected humans. Many had died, their bodies rejecting the modifications, but some had survived, had been transformed, becoming something new. Their strength enhanced their already remarkable adaptability, increased their minds, expanded beyond human limitations. These enhanced humans were now being trained as Guild agents, their knowledge of Earth making them perfect infiltrators for when the Guild decided to move from selective harvesting to full-scale exploitation of human potential. Zara closed the files, feeling sick. The Guild she had served so loyally was creating weapons from sentient beings, was planning to use those weapons against their own kind. The corruption went deeper than she'd imagined. Mary woke several hours later. She sat up slowly, her body clearly stiff and sore from the difficult journey and uncomfortable rest. "How long was I asleep?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. 6 hours, Zara replied. "You needed the rest. The journey ahead will be difficult." Mary took a drink of water and looked at Zara with those unnervingly perceptive eyes. "What did you find in those files?" she asked. While I was sleeping, I could tell you were looking at something. What did they do to my parents? Zara hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. The truth was horrific, but Mary deserved to know they were part of the enhancement program, she said finally. Your parents and the others were genetically modified. Their basic human structure was preserved, but many aspects were changed. Enhanced. Strength, enhanced sensory capabilities, enhanced neural processing. They become something new. Not fully human anymore, but not alien either. Something the Guild could use. Mary was silent for a long moment, processing this information. Are they still themselves, she asked finally. Do they still have their memories, their personalities? Or did the Guild take that too? The files indicate the enhancement process preserves core memories and personality structures. Zara said the Guild wants the human essence, their adaptability and creativity, that requires leaving much of the original mind intact, but they also implement loyalty protocols, psychological conditioning to ensure obedience. So my parents remember me but can't act on it. Mary said, her voice hollow. They know they left their daughter behind but can't do anything about it. That appears to be the case. Zara confirmed. The cruelty of it struck her anew. The Guild had not simply taken these humans. They had transformed them and forced them to betray their own kind. She understood now why the information was restricted, why hunters like her were kept ignorant. No honorable hunter would participate in such a program if they knew the truth. Mary stood up suddenly, her movements stiff, but determined. Then we have to stop them, she said. Not just rescue my parents, but expose everything the Guild is doing. This project potential. How many more people will they take? How many more families will they destroy? Her voice rose slightly, the first real anger Zara had heard from her since they'd met. Zara stood as well. That is why we must reach the relay station. The Coalition can help. But first they need proof. The data I took from my ship will provide that. And she hesitated before, adding, they will need you as well. Mary asked. What can I do against something like the Guild? You are living proof of what they have done. Zara explained, a human who remembers the taking, who can testify to the truth. The Coalition follows strict laws regarding intervention in primitive worlds. They need absolute certainty before they can act against the Guild. Your testimony combined with the data will provide that. Mary considered this for a moment, nodding slowly. As darkness fell, they left their shelter and continued their journey south. The mountain terrain gradually gave way to foothills, still rugged but less treacherous. The night was clear, the stars visible above providing enough light for careful travel. Zara kept her scanner active, checking regularly for pursuit signals. Near midnight, the scanner detected something. Zara froze. Raising her hand in warning, Mary stopped immediately, understanding the signal. They stood motionless as Zara analyzed the reading. Guild enforcer. Drones, she whispered. They use them to search wide areas, small, fast, difficult to detect. They won't see us if we don't move. The cloaking field will hide us. They remained still as statues as the faint humming sound grew louder. 3 small objects passed. Overhead, their undersides glowing softly with scanning beams. The drones moved in a grid pattern, thorough and methodical. They paused, occasionally hovering as if sensing something before moving on. Zara moved quickly but carefully toward the relay station. The distraction had drawn most of the enforcers to the western approach, but she knew it wouldn't last long. Once they realized it was the human alone, they would split their forces, resuming their coverage of all approaches. She had minutes at most to reach transmission range. The station loomed ahead, disguised as a rocky outcropping, but Zara's trained eyes could see the subtle technological elements hidden within the natural appearance. The communication array extended underground, connecting to a satellite network that could reach Guild outposts across the sector. That same network could be used to reach the Coalition if she could access it without triggering Guild security protocols. Zara reached the minimum safe distance for transmission and crouched behind a fallen tree. She removed the data core from her pack and connected it to her communication device. The interface activated, showing connection status to the relay stations. Network. The guild had not yet locked her out of the system. Her hunter access code still functioned, allowing her to establish a secure channel. She began the data transfer, first sending the files on Project Potential, the evidence of the guild's experiments on humans. Then she composed a message to the Coalition detailing what she had discovered, her current situation, and the immediate threat to both her and the human witness. The Coalition would need time to respond, to mobilize whatever forces they could spare to intervene, but once they had the evidence, they would act. The guild's violations were too severe, too dangerous to ignore. A warning flashed on her device. The guild had detected her transmission. Their security protocols were activating, attempting to cut her connection, block her access. She worked faster, using every override and bypass she knew, fighting to maintain the channel long enough to complete the transmission. In the distance, she heard energy weapons firing. The enforcers had found Mary. The human was fighting back, the sound of the energy pistol distinctive among the heavier guild weapons. Zara wanted to go to her aid, but the transmission had to be completed. Without it, everything they had risked would be for nothing. 90% complete. The connection weakened as guild security continued its attack on her access. Zara rerouted through secondary systems, sacrificing her device's security to maintain the transmission. 95% weapons. Fire intensified in the distance. Mary was still alive, still fighting, still buying her the time she needed. 100% transmission complete. Zara sent the final confirmation code to the Coalition. The message was sent. The evidence delivered. Now they needed to survive long enough for help to arrive. She disconnected from the relay station and moved toward the sounds of battle. Mary needed her. Zara activated her cloaking field and ran through the forest, following the sounds of energy weapons. The firing had become sporadic, suggesting Mary had found cover, was no longer an easy target. Good. The human was showing tactical sense. The guild consistently underestimated human adaptability, their ability to use unfamiliar technology and situations to their advantage. She found Mary crouched behind a massive fallen tree trunk. The human was pinned down by 3 enforcers, their weapons keeping her from moving while they slowly advanced on her position. Mary's energy pistol was nearly depleted, its power indicator flashing warning signals. Each shot she fired was carefully aimed, making the most of her remaining energy. Zara assessed the situation. The enforcers had not detected her approach yet. Their focus was on Mary, believing the human was the primary threat, while Zara was elsewhere attempting to access the relay station. They were partially correct, but had miscalculated in dividing their forces. Zara removed her hunting weapon from its holster. The plasma rifle was designed for larger prey, but would work equally well against guild enforcers. She took aim at the enforcer furthest from the others and fired a single shot through the being's helmet, instantly fatal. The remaining enforcers reacted immediately, turning toward the new threat, but seeing nothing through Zara's cloaking field. They fired toward her approximate position, forcing her to move. The cloaking technology could not hide the disturbance of vegetation as she ran to a new position. Mary seized the opportunity, firing at the closest enforcer. Her shot caught the being in the shoulder, spinning it around. The enforcer recovered quickly, returning fire, forcing Mary back into cover. Zara fired again from her new position, taking down the second enforcer with a shot to the torso. The third enforcer, more cautious, now activated its own cloaking field, disappearing from visual detection. Zara signaled to Mary to stay down. The human nodded, understanding. The final enforcer was now invisible to normal sight. But Zara's helmet contained enhanced visual modes. She switched to heat detection. The enforcer's cloaking technology masked much of its heat signature, but not all movement was still detectable to trained eyes. There, a subtle shift in the temperature pattern near a cluster of trees. The enforcer was moving, trying to circle behind Mary's position. Zara tracked the faint thermal signature, waiting for the perfect moment. The enforcer paused, preparing to fire at Mary from its new angle. Zara fired first, her shot penetrating the enforcer's cloaking field and striking it in the back. The enforcer fell, its cloaking field failing as its systems shut down. Mary stood cautiously, emerging from cover. Her energy pistol was completely Drained, now useless, 3 enforcers down. But Zara knew there would be more. 3 more at least guarding other approaches to the relay station. They needed to move quickly. Did you send it? Mary asked as Zara reached her. Did the message go through? Yes, Zara confirmed. But we need to leave now. The remaining enforcers will converge on this position soon. The guild will send reinforcements once they realize what has happened. Where do we go? Mary asked. We can't go back to my cabin. They know about it. Now we can't go to your ship, it's destroyed. We need to find a place to hide. Zara said somewhere the guild would not expect a settlement, perhaps. The enforcers will avoid human population centers to prevent wider contact. A small town would offer temporary shelter while we wait for the coalition to respond. Mary considered this. I know a place, she said. A town about 15 miles east. There are enough people that strangers aren't noticed, but it's small enough that we can see anyone searching for us. She looked at Zara's clearly alien appearance, but you'll need to stay hidden. Your kind isn't exactly common around here. Zara nodded. The cloaking field would work for brief periods, but extended use would drain its power. I have a solution for that. She said among my equipment is a holographic disguise matrix. It can make me appear human for short periods. Not perfect, but enough to avoid casual detection. They gathered what they could from the fallen enforcers. Zara collecting power cells for her, weapons, and Mary's now useless pistol. Mary taking a small medical kit from one of the enforcers' packs. The guild would track the enforcers. Life signs would know they had fallen, would send others. But it would take time. Time they needed to put distance. Between themselves and the relay station, they traveled east, moving as quickly as the terrain allowed. Zara kept her scanner active, watching for pursuit signals. Mary led the way, having hunted and hiked these woods for years. Her knowledge of the landscape proved invaluable, finding paths that did not appear on Zara's maps. Shortcuts through areas that would slow or confuse pursuers. By nightfall they had covered nearly 10 miles. The scanner showed pursuit, but not close. The remaining enforcers had regrouped, were following their trail, but cautiously, perhaps waiting for reinforcements. They made camp in a small cave, hidden behind a waterfall, the sound masking any noise they might make the water confusing. Thermal tracking. Mary built a small fire. The smoke vented naturally through cracks in the cave ceiling. The warmth was welcome after days of hard travel in increasingly cold weather. Zara examined the holographic disguise matrix, ensuring it was functional. The device was designed for brief infiltration missions, not extended use, but it would serve their purpose if used sparingly. What happens now? Mary asked as they shared the remaining food from her pack. If your message got through, if these coalition people come, what then? The coalition will send representatives, Zara explained, diplomats and security forces. They will confront the guild, demand access to their facilities, including the one where your parents and the other humans are being held. The evidence we sent is compelling, enough to justify intervention under coalition law. And my parents? Mary asked, can they be changed back? Can what the guild did be reversed? Zara hesitated, not wanting to offer false hope. Coalition medical technology is advanced, she said carefully. Some aspects of guild enhancement can be reversed, others may be permanent. But the loyalty protocols, the psychological conditioning, those can be removed. Your parents will be themselves. Again, will remember. You will be free to choose their own path. Mary nodded, accepting this answer with the same quiet strength she had shown throughout their journey. I never stopped believing they were out there. She said somewhere, I never stopped looking. Even when everyone told me I was crazy, that I had imagined everything. She stared into the fire. The guild tried to make me forget, but they failed. They underestimated how much I loved my parents, how much I needed to find them.